found this very interesting. The religious leaders in Pakistan said a ban on child marriage is deemed un-Islamic, and it was published yesterday, as you can see there, 29th of May 2025. A new law banning child marriage in Pakistan has been criticised by a prominent council for being un-Islamic. Pakistan's government last week passed the Child Marriage Restraint Bill, which aims to put an end to minors being forced into marriages and cohabitation with adults. The legislation, set to be signed into effect by President Asif Ali Zardari, will see adults found to be cohabiting with minors punished by up to 7 years in prison and a fine of 1 million rupees, which is about just under £3,000, on charges of statutory rape. It is set to roll out in Pakistani's capital, Islamabad, with hopes that other parts of the country will introduce the law in short order. Now, I had only come across this documentary made about Pakistan, and it was the bus drivers, right? And it was something ridiculous, like 6 or 7 out of every 10 children, particularly boys, are in these like cohabiting relationships with these bus drivers. Because the bus drivers take them in, they look after them, they feed them, but they're kept as like this, they say they're kept as a helper, but you know what else is going on, you know what else is going on there. The documentary goes into a hell of a lot more detail with it, but this is talking about marriage as well. I've seen on the scale of it, I think it's only 4%, 3.8 or 4% of all rape cases in Pakistan have a prosecution. And it's like, for every 100,000, I think it was a high enough stat. I'll put it in the comment section. But for every 100,000, it was like 98 or something like that, which is pretty high compared to other places. There are other places in the world, like in certain countries in Africa, that it's like really high, But per capita, for the size of Pakistan, the prosecution rate was absolutely shocking. And they put it across as if like it's taboo and most people don't even report it. So even though most people don't even report it, it's much higher than they're actually reporting in the first place, Now, the topic also came up about those who are abused when they're younger go on to carry out abuse. Now, there's so much conflicting information around that. It can be brought back to the person by by them dealing with it for so many years. They take drugs and alcohol and all that stuff, and then it just festers and festers, and then it just bursts out of them. That way. It's not to say that all of them or a good majority of them go on to carry out abuse, but it is known to happen. This way? So I'd imagine the more unchecked and the more times it's like just fobbed off as taboo, like don't report it, that just gets worse and worse. But I'll go back to this. But Pakistan's Council of Islamic Ideology, a prominent body that advises the government of the Muslim majority nation whether or not a certain law is repugnant to Islam, has opposed the bill. So there you go. Pakistan's Council of Islamic Ideology has opposed the bill. The council said in a statement published Tuesday declaring marriage below the age of 18 as child abuse and prescribing punishments for it and other controversial provisions are not in line with Islamic injunctions. Overall, the council rejected the bill. It also clarified that this bill was not sent to the council for review by the Parliament or the Senate. Marriage should be protected from unnecessary legal complications, and a public awareness campaign in this regard could prove more effective, it argued. The bill was passed after several female politicians who were married off as minors shared their personal support. Um, Pakistani ranks among the top 10 countries with the highest absolute number of women who are married before the age of 18. More than 20 million. Look at that number. More than 20 million before the age of 18 are married off. Data compiled by activist group Girls Not Brides and Pakistan's National Institute of Population Studies suggests nearly 1 in 5 women in Pakistan, 18%, are married before the age of 18 and 4% before the age of 15. Researchers and activists point to a range of factors contributing to Pakistan's soaring child marriage rate, including religion, long entrenched societal and gender norms, and rampant poverty. Sherry Raymond, a senator who tabled the bill after MP Sharmila Farqui introduced it in Pakistan's National Assembly, said the new legislation will send a powerful message. And as just someone who's quite passionate about calling all of that stuff out, because I do often say to you, it's not, they're not even thinking of what this does to the child in the long term and what it does to the child's family in the long term. It's like a ripple, affects so many people around the child. It's not just the child. Yeah, it's bad enough it does affect the child, but it affects so many people around the child. The whole family have to live with that. It is very important. It is a very important signal to the country, to our development partners, and to the women that their rights are protected at the top. Naseem Eshan, 50, told the Senate, "I got married at 13 years old and want child marriage to be banned. I was lucky to have good and affluent in-laws, but most Pakistani women are not so lucky. Not every child has the supportive husband like me." The bill's text pointed out that research had invariably proved that child marriage is harmful to both genders, and especially girls who have hit puberty and are able to bear children. Ehsan added, "I have never been so content to vote for a bill as the Child Marriage Restraint Bill," in comments to The Guardian. "The world has changed and developed. We have progressed and we must embrace the progress. It was a very much needed bill." There she is there. That's your woman that is behind it. Pakistan in 2010 developed much political power to regional governments, entrusting provinces to draft and enact many of their own laws. The regional government in Pakistan province of Sindhi passed a Marriage Restraint Act back in 2013 that outlawed marriage under the age of 18, but it remains the only province in Pakistan to have done so. It is hoped that new legislation set to come into effect across the Islamabad capital territory will lead to the measure being adopted throughout the country. Nadeem Asfal Shan, a member of the Pakistani People's Party, said the government in Balochistan, sorry, tough word that one, province would soon follow suit. The provisional government of Pakantawar has also drafted a child marriage restriction bill, though it is yet to be passed. Pakistan is committed to ending child, early and forced marriage by 2030 in line with Sustainable Development Goals outlined by the United Nations. So is that the only reason that it's been seen is because it's being backed by the United? This is this thing that I try to highlight, that sustainable development, the 17 goals. Interesting. But under child marriage is still rampant, particularly in rural areas of Pakistan. The CII is seen as one of the most influential and prominent bodies preventing politicians from taking action. A recent published article in Pakistan outlined Dawn described theological authorities as self-appointed custodians of belief and convention that reject empowerment, making it difficult for political parties to criticise child marriage, forced conversions, and other atrocities in their party manifestos and poll campaigns. The deeply patriarchal undercurrents of our socio-political setting have kept politicians from stressing on the need to abandon laws and validate child abuse. as we allow adults to coerce young girls into illegal unions, it read. So yeah, there's Pakistan wanting to ban child marriage, but it was deemed un-Islamic by Pakistan's religious leaders.